Hey guys, back again with some more modern on a budget, and today we're going to be talking about flyers. Now, I know that if I say flyers, you're probably going to be tempted to say, oh, it's spirits, right? No, like, it's full on flyers, and so it's going to be a way if you played flyers in standard to transfer it over to a modern deck. Now, this deck is, so if you did play flyers on like in standard, you're gonna be able to play this deck. Basically, it's very similar. I just made a few tweaks to it, but I just want to first take a real quick shout out, because not to a person but to a card, because there's Skycat Sovereign, and Skycat Sovereign gets +1/+1 for each creature you control flying, and it's a 1/1, and quite often it will be much larger than 1/1, but it also has an ability 4 mana to put a 1/1 cat bird creature token flying onto the battlefield. Now, here's the shout out. This cat is the most adorable token I have ever seen. I would kill a man for this bird if it asked me to, and that is not a confession. It is a statement, but not a confession. Let me just say that right now. I would give this bird my accidental curly fry. Anyway, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to that bird right there. I love the artwork so much. Whoever did it did an amazing job. Anyway, so again, last episode we actually talked about this card exactly, except it was a rogue deck. Now it's just a flying creature, but it's gonna fill our hand. It's gonna keep cards in our hand. It's a very good card, and it's gonna stay flying. It's gonna be a way for us to stay in the air. And real quick, people might be like, but why flyers? And it's because, well, one, because I can, but also because flying practically reads unblockable in modern. Not a lot of people have flyers. Anyway, with that aside, we also have 4 Healer Hawks, and if you played Standard, you realize how impactful this card was in Standard, and so we're really just going to be trying to bring it into Modern and see if it has a similar effect. Now, you'll notice these are all 1/1s. We do have ways to pump up our creatures, but really, our idea is if we go wide enough, fast enough, they won't have enough removal to get all of our creatures unless they have a board wipe. And we have a solution for that as well. So Terramander also reads that it's a 1-drop for 1/1 flying, but based on the number of spells in your graveyard, you can adapt it. Now, we're not really running that many spells in our main deck, so it gets better post-board, but it's still able to become a 5/5. Next up is Spectral Sailor. It's another 1/1 for 1, and if you can see a trend, it also has flying. This time it also has flash and 4 mana draw a card, and you will use that ability more often than you think. And it's not because you have bad cards in your hand, it's because you're dropping so many 1-ofs in this deck onto the board that paying 4 mana isn't that big of a deal. Next up is the lad Skycat Sovereign. Just give me the token. Let me play the token in my deck. I don't even care about this creature. Just give me the token, okay? Just give me the token. Anyway, enough about the token, even though like there can never be enough. I love the token, okay? I know it's a lot. I know that I've talked about this token way too much in a 10-minute video, but I love the token so much, and it's half the reason I'm running the card. The other half is just it's good in the deck. And don't worry. I wouldn't trick you guys into running a card that is not good just because of artwork. But I'm just saying, if you put that cat out, about half of your opponents are gonna die from adorableness. Anyway, next up is Watch of the Spheres. It's a way to keep our flash plan on point, as well as give us a little extra power in the air. Brazen Borrower takes up about 1/3 of our budget, and it is well worth it, because it has Petty Theft, which will bounce your bounce one of their threats to their hand, and then come back as a 3/1 flyer with flash. So Watcher of the Spheres cares about it. Imperial Eagle. I actually really like this artwork of the card a lot better than the other one. So if you can get this one, I don't know. I think that's the commander one. But this card is amazing with this deck. If you're playing in Spirits, it's not as good as other cards in the deck. It's still very good, but not as good. But you're gonna be putting +1/+1 for all of your creatures, and it's going to be a little way to get extra value and make sure your creatures don't die as easily. Hanged Executioner is a way to go wide with more than one card. More than one creature for one card. It's a way to 2-for-1. And then you can exile it from the board to exile target creatures, so it's a bit of interaction in the main board without diluting our creature count. Next up is Safara Sky's Blade, the most expensive card in the deck and by far worth it, especially since we can cheat it out. It's a 7-drop, but you're not going to cast it for that. You may pay white and tap up to 4 untapped creatures you control flying rather than pay this mana cost. So literally any creature we have. Flying Lifelink. Now the Lifelink is absolutely insane in here, especially since it's a 7/7. So if you drop this, burn decks crumble. But it also says other creatures you control flying have indestructible. So all those 1/1s you no longer have to worry about them dying. You can just swing in the air freely. And this has flying and lifelink, so it's a huge threat to your opponent, and their eyes will directly go to, how do I deal with this? Next up is part of the reason why it's okay that we're running so many 1/1s is Rally of Wings, and it reads, untap all creatures you control. Creatures you control get +2 with flying, get +2/+2 until end of turn. So if you swing in with 5 1/1s and then cast this, it's suddenly 15 damage. And they're untapped. Now cards like this can be iffy because they're very vulnerable to counter spells, but more often than not, this card will win you a game. And then for our mana base, you'll see that another third of our budget is blown on 4 Hallowed Fountains, and that is because the card Hallowed Fountain is a shockland, and we are not that worried about our mana. We're not really worried. We can go and say 4 Hallowed Fountains. Sure, more dual lands could be very good, but this deck, as it is not vulnerable to Blood Moon at all. And if you decide to stop playing the deck, those 4 Hallowed Fountains are probably going to make it into your next deck. Anyway, and even if you keep watching my videos and try to build one of my decks, you can just take my mana base and make it better with cards you have. Anyway, that is the main deck. One more shout out to the cat token. But then we have the sideboard, which is 2 relics for graveyard hate, 3 Cerulean Drakes for more flying creatures, but protection from red, 2 Damping Sphere for Burn, Tron, and Storm, 2 Dovin's Vetoes for decks that would be relevant, but the most common one you're going to run into is Control. Possibly even Collected Company. Mana Leaks for if you really just need to be heavier in Control, if you need to go more counterspells, run Mana Leaks. Conclave Tribunal is more removal, but it's the budget form of Path to Exile, and we're running enough creatures where Convoke is okay. Now, that is the deck. Let me know what you thought of it below. If you played it in Standard, tell me what your favorite card is. Tell me what you think Rally of the Ranks will be like in Modern. I really enjoyed playtesting the deck. I think it was really cool that I was able to actually basically take the same deck verbatim and take it into Modern, and it was phenomenal. Anyway, that's it for Flyers, and I will see you next time.